So, we're talking about some personalities out there that are doing various things and that they may not be living up to people's exalted expectations or their exaggerations. Um, the idea that the man who took everybody to Cedra Rinchendrak and there were Westerners staying there for like 7-year retreats and things like that. He didn't get very good reviews, and yet somebody came and bankrolled him, and he reincarnated. Okay, I need to tell you people that if you don't support Kalu, you won't be able to replace him. Do you understand? That you will be on your own without anybody protecting or guiding you, and that if you don't find some way to make use of him, I've assessed him. He's ordinary intelligence and stuff like that. He's just, running around in circles. And then when the circles stop, he's, pimping on the corner or something. You need to go grab that boy and make him work. Okay? And it's called using your hands so that we don't cut them off and tie you to a surrey and call you a pony. Okay? Because this is the real world. Okay? Guru Rinpoche manifested as Wayne on the Irrawaddy. This is the real world. What are you going to apply these teachings to? If you want to sit there feeling bliss without drugs, I recommend going to a Zendo until you get tired of getting beaten up and then go sit at home. Because those guys are kind of rough with people. And they will help you break your attachment to showing off, to exaggerating, and you're attached, when they run out of things to criticize you for, they will tell you to leave. Now, that criticism is something that Kalu was good at before, and he seems to be made of right now. The only thing he seemed to have gotten rewarded for in some way or another. Okay, but you can work with him on that. You just gotta deal with. He's gonna get incredibly frustrated. He's gonna start howling, "Horns on a hair! Horns on a hair!" like he used to do. Like he's some kind of weird creature. But he gets incredibly offended by any kind of playfulness, and that's a really good way to start putting him in the wash so you can work with him, right? But you guys have been out there running around claiming all kinds of superiority to people like me. So this is your job. All right? Now, if this is how you want it, if you're really sincerely not interested in this, the other one out there, I guess Dogo Yansei quit. I heard and it was just an audio, and it might have even been CGI, CGA. Is that, so you're dealing with the reincarnation of a man who, at the age of 18, mastered a very practical form of Atiyoga, or I wouldn't be here. And other than that, plagiarized my guru and was really good at doing the mudras of the 8 offering substances and the opening of Samantabhadra's treasury. And you see videos of him doing that. And he would joke with my guru about how impressed everybody was about that. So my guru taught me, as this man's daughter, to do that. He just told me to go find the mudras on my own, and but that it was very important to do those offerings, that it was very important. And so I do my evening, my pre-dinner chant has a lot of that in it, and I've added it to my morning guru yoga, and that's the visualization of the offering substances and all of the things, any of these visualizations. So you can visualize the mustard seed. Why can't I visualize the mustard seed? Maybe that's too simple. Maybe you should visualize the two types of water, the flowers, and see you can. There's a chant. I think what's it? 6, 8 types of water.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of different types of water, and then everything else. And then I've even seen a chant where it's and those are in the dark blue books, where I think it's in the dark blue books, or maybe it's in one of the Gelugpa books, the Yusmaja Gelugpa book. I'm not sure. One of them, one or more of them, has the all the different musics. So you got the lute, you got 5 different types of drums, you got trumpets, you got other instruments. So instead of just doing shabda, then you got them all dancing. Focusing on things like that teaches you to focus on everything. And now you're just not showing up with your lotus in your hand, asking for the world of cities from these gurus, and you have something to offer, right? This is the real world. So you have to give them these things. And you say, oh, that is so crass. Talking about practical applications of Atiyoga, lotuses in the hand, that is so crass. Okay, so, but is anybody beating down your door to, so now you're going to exaggerate. Why did you get involved in this track to begin with? Why did you get involved with this track to begin with? You wanted to be able to control whether you exaggerate or you didn't want to be guided around by your forelock, and yet you wanted to enjoy your forelock, right? And what causes a lack of enjoyment is you get overexcited. So you wanted to not get so excited. How do you control that excitement? In your daily life, you try not to exaggerate. When you stop exaggerating, maybe you've been so deaded by all the feelers and stuff like that you don't notice that there's engagement in all your chakras with everything you do. And if you can keep a balanced engagement with all that you have, instead of just cutting yourself off at the waist, your possessions, your qualities, as well as your activities. And why do we call that activities? Why does the wind come from down there and go up to here? And why is that happening? A lot of this has to do with the form that we're in. Again, I said that the first 3 chakras will go with you wherever, but the other 2 might not, and they might be replaced by something we can't conceive of now. But your chakras up here have connectors to those chakras that for whatever reason they need to ripen in the substrate. Now you don't want them to be over invested to the point that they've atrophied, turned, inverted, turned calcified and everything like that, because you're living down here and then you're cut off from down here and you got these like just little stones, they just flick off into the hellfire. So you want to keep everything alive that you have, and then sometimes something is taken away and something better is replaced with it. So if you're looking for what you call a pure method, a pure what? Pure what? I was thinking about my ancestral women today, whether or not they even existed as a distinct entity. I'm extremely dyslexic. I've been infected with prions probably from birth, and which manifests as a mild epilepsy. And when you think about the nature of education going back prior to reading, the first thing that children would learn would be song and dance. The first instance of instruction outside of hand me that, go fetch that, help me with this. Now, they would want to know which people would zig and zag and which people could follow a sequence of behaviors, sequence of movements, see them visually, hear them described with their ear, and then be moved around by them. And whether they could do that in a target amount of time, because they wanted to screen dyslexics out of certain types of, and other things, out of certain types of pipelines. The transfer of children was usually by means of sale, regardless of how you were born. Young adults and everything like that. And if you gave the wrong kind of people to the wrong kind of people, they wouldn't come back. They wouldn't buy more from you. You couldn't trade for things you needed or wanted. And they might be so disruptive that those people just don't come back anywhere, and the whole market is destroyed. Now, eventually, they found out that dancing disorientation would apply to reading and writing as well. And they equated that with stupidity, which was something that my ancestors wanted to cultivate in the people around them, that understand that belief that we are stupid. And we even generated, somehow found a way by accident to generate people who genuinely were stupid, who looked like us. And so our appearance began to be associated with stupidity. Now, you are exaggerating your knowledge of me and people in general when you project that on me. But it's my ancestors who used it as a smokescreen. It was one of the reasons why the Arabs were told to kill any female offspring that were born outside of our realm, because the women tended to be, the women couldn't be controlled. The men could do things that could conceal their intelligence, but the women were put in situations in which concealing things was not always possible for them. And my ancestors also ate their dead, especially the women would eat the women, unless they started to shake, and then they would bury them. It's interesting that the sheikh, the bosses and stuff like that, but these people might live longer than the others because they were being excluded. Nobody was kind of trying to rush them. It was never one of those things where they, well, I think it's time to join the rest of the group. I think I've learned everything I can. These people would just be left behind to live for however long they did. And it might be, you think your bunny's going to live 7 years? 14. But the 7-year bunnies, they would eat each other. And the 14-year-old bunnies would just be, space aliens. My bunny's gotten really weird now. Anyway, so so you need your non-duality if you're going to travel the tree of life, because different people in different places have made different decisions about right and wrong, best practices. Really, you don't have right and wrong, you just have best practices. And best practices are designed by somebody who's managing the central nucleus of the system. So you learn what one pleases one king, he dies. Can you transfer to the next or not? We don't know.